Hey guys, it's Greg. Um, Today I got Residual from the Outsiders in the form of one of the wacky t-shirts, kind of like the Morton Ricky t-shirt I'm wearing now, uh, in the form of the Golden Girls, but it deals with the Outsiders. So uh, what the story behind it is that I was in Kohl's yesterday, and yesterday they had a sale, 50% off on things, plus you get your Kohl's cash back, and I had points on my card, and I had a gift card from my birthday. So went there looking for some t-shirts, and actually I'd like to have, they didn't have them. Actually, I'd like to have a lot of the old 80s bands t-shirts and then send them in and they make quilts out of them. But anyway, I picked up a few, and I was just looking through them, and there it was. It said it had the faces of the four Golden Girls on it, but it said "Stay Golden," and I thought, they wouldn't put that on there. You know, most people say, "Well, that sounds right." No, no, they wouldn't put that on there. That's a reference to the Outsiders. So, uh, I put a watermark on it only because uh, I saw a picture that I had taken months back, and this was months ago on somebody's channel. This was long ago. I don't even remember who it was, but they put that picture up, and they said they couldn't remember who or where they got whose channel they got it off of, and they may have gotten it from somebody else who may have gotten it from somebody else. Who knows? I don't know. But if you take the time to put a video together, and somebody's trying to build a channel, of course, to be honest with you, I don't care about I don't care. That's petty. I mean, it's pettiness. Actually, it's pettiness on my part to even do that. But if people are going to that channel strictly for Mandela Effect stuff and that type of stuff, and they don't know about my channel, which mentions Matt's channel a lot, then it might be new people that are just waking up. So it's not me trying to be petty. It's trying to. Sorry, phone looked like it was ringing. There it went. I'm not trying to be petty. Just trying to help. Bring in new people for discussion. So, also want to say, loved the show, the After Hours show last Saturday night. Matt was on with Dan, and I was in the chat room, but I was not paying attention to the chat. I was watching on the TV. I was laying in the bed watching on the TV. So if anyone's, I saw a couple when I flipped the computer around to check. I saw a couple of people say, hi to me, and I tried to respond, but if anybody said hello to me and I didn't respond back, I apologize. It's not that I didn't want to or I was ignoring anybody. I was in the chat room just because I was in there with the video, listening. And man, that was one of the best shows I've heard. So anyway, as usual, or at least as of my new habit, gonna stick the Residual on the front so that everybody can, if that's just what they're here for, to see that, they can do that and then leave if they don't want to listen to the other things I have to say, random thoughts. So, um, all right, I'll add that in. And there you go. It just was just actually I didn't see it at first. It was uh, I was looking through all the T-shirts and I didn't see the Stay Golden part. I saw the faces of the Golden Girls and on the T-shirt because the way they have it folded and then it was slid back up under the shelf. And I wasn't gonna look at that. And it was on the end, but it is that color yellow, and I love that color yellow. Although it doesn't look good on me, it just looks good on cars, you know. Uh, but I was rounding the corner to go to the next aisle to look over, and I happened to see that Stay Golden, so I pulled it out, and I couldn't believe there it was, and just snapped a picture with my phone. Okay, other things. This part may be long, so as Cypher or Loose Cypher says, buckle your seats because Kansas is going bye-bye. Not really. I watched a movie that's on Prime Amazon, and it's called The Lost City of Z, or Zed if you're British. Didn't know that was a thing. Zed. Never heard it before this movie, so you learn something new every day. But at the end, he's seeing or remembering his wedding day and a poem or something that his wife had written for him. I thought it was a nice poem and that it pertained, it could pertain to everybody's life in a good way. So I had to modify it to fit, retrofit it to apply to everyone, to be inclusive, because she wrote it just for him. So I'll read that now. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I am dealing with, you all know, most of you know what I'm dealing with, and yesterday was not a good day. I slept a long time last night, and right now I'm out of breath. I don't feel good, and my head is splitting, but I'm gonna get through this video. So this is stuff that's been, I intended to get out earlier this week. So okay, here we go. And this is from The Lost City of Z. I loved that movie. I thought it was great. It's based on a true story, at least. That's what they say. We never know what's a true story anymore, do we? Based on changes to history or whatever they've said and what they don't say. Who knows anymore? Give me a little more slack here. This is aggravating. Sorry. Okay, Lost City of Z. Always dream to seek the unknown, to look for what is beautiful is its own reward. I beg you to always remember these words that are so easily forgotten. A person's reach should exceed their grasp. Otherwise, what is a heaven for? So thought that was pretty good. A little bit of wisdom, you know. I love reading the book of Proverbs. So probably, I mean, other than the Gospels, of course, that's probably my favorite book. The matrix, or our system that we're in, I told Matt once that once you wake up, once you become aware of what's going on, it's like not just, I'm not being sacrilegious, I'm not being blasphemous. It's almost like, metaphorically, like the first fall. You know, we become aware, we gain wisdom, we gain knowledge, we see the man behind the curtain, and we know the knowledge of good and evil, and it kind of takes away the let's say if the Matrix was the Garden of Eden, metaphorically, you know, for your mind, for your peace of mind, you know, ease of mind, your not knowing and not caring, and then you somehow awaken and become aware, and then you seek more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge, and the more we learn, the harder that the system pushes back the ethereal, you know. There's an ethereal world, there's, to me, you know. Tesla even talked about the ether. So it's the Bible has mentioned it for years, I mean for thousands of years, and I know there are some here that and like I said, I've tried not to bring in my religion into the channel, but you can't deny that the Bible has been right. And to be honest with you, what we are looking at right now today, as far as the events that are happening, now they may be man-made, man-caused, but that does, the Bible didn't say that. It was vague in how these things would happen. So everybody just always assumed. Now, one thing with time, speeding up. I've noticed time has sped up. Now, any preacher or pastor 40 years ago would have told you that that meant that God was going to have mercy on man, and he was going to cut the time that the second coming was down and come earlier than what he had originally planned. But if you really listen, Jesus said, I don't even know that. He said, I don't even know the day. My Father in heaven knows the day. The day. Well, God's not going to change his mind on the day, but he also said he would shorten the days to save. If he didn't, nobody would be saved. So maybe they got it wrong. Maybe it's the fact that God decided to speed time up. Now, I know there's agnostics and atheists, so you can decide how that's happening, but you know, that's just my belief of how I feel about it. Alright, but anyway, the point is, you know, the farther you journey into to the wisdom and the knowledge of how the system works, and the more that you accept, the more you realize, the harder it will be on you. The harder it pushes back. I mean, it really does. Look at what just happened with. Now, wait a minute. I'm going to say something different than most people say about Alex Jones. I've seen other things. The thing with InfoWars and Alex Jones, I don't know if the bottle picked that up. I hope that don't happen. The thing about that is I've always, and not always, but for a while now, because he's actually what woke me up to start with. Part of the way. I mean, like I've said, I've always been skeptical, and I knew 9/11 was horseshit from the start. Waco, Oklahoma City bombing, Columbine, it just all was just didn't seem right. It didn't settle with me. Okay. Especially if you listen to the Waco negotiation tapes or watch Rules of Engagement. All right. But with AJ, let's call him that. I've always thought, or at least for years now, and I've told my dad the same thing, that I messed up because I registered with him. I think he's a beekeeper, or I think the new term is gatekeeper, but way back when it was beekeeper. I think that's what he is. He takes names. He's the kid in school that takes names. He's CIA. He's alphabet soup. And this is a move to get this shit taken to the Supreme Court for a precedent. So he's going to be used as he represents us, and when he really doesn't. This is a system move, moving it forward to hurry up and get rid of us. So, and with him being government, with him being intelligence, this will get pushed through faster than anything else. Supreme Court's going to hear this faster than anything. So, my take on that is he's a spook, and it's going that way. This is a strategy move for the system. All right. Anyway, oh, sorry, knee. That's the problem area. Swollen like a basketball the other day. As much as I wish none of this had ever happened, I realize you can't go back. Even if you could, I wouldn't want to. I would not be Cypher. I couldn't. It goes against everything I believe. I do not like hypocrisy. I do not like injustice. I don't like immorality. I believe everybody should be ethical. Everybody is special. Now, I don't know if I need to put an age limit on this or not, but let's just say that the pollywogs or the zigzags, there's millions of them that happen to be in a race to get to an egg. And anybody watching this You won the race. So you are special. You're special. You beat out millions of pollywogs. Let's call that, for the lack of a better term. So everybody's special. Everybody should be treated special, the same. But we always have to divide. We don't, but we do, because we're brought up in prejudice. We're taught prejudice. If you took one of every ethnicity, I don't say race because we're all the same race, the human race, we're one species. If you took one baby of every ethnicity and they weren't allowed to be programmed, and you put them on an island or a remote area and let them grow up together, they would not know what prejudice is. Alright, anyway, sorry, got off track again, but you know, it's either quit or, you know, it's either quit and be cipher, or do like the poem says, you know, try to reach farther than your grasp extends. You know, and the more you learn, the bigger ladder you build to get that grasp. So let's see. There's one thing that happened this past Sunday I want to talk about. And I don't know how many of you are not NASCAR fans or whatever. I only watch 2 races a year. Now 3 because they've added a 3rd one. I watch the road courses. But, and I've got text evidence. Bill Elliott. Everybody should know who Bill Elliott is. Drove number 9 Coors Light or Coors car, and then he drove the number 11 Budweiser car. 911. There's more synchronicity coming. All right, more synchronicity with that coming. Bill in 1983 got his first win in the number 9 car, all right, on a road course. And they told all this because his son Chase, get that, the name Chase, his son Chase is now driving a number 9 car. All right. And they were talking about Bill getting his first win on a road course, and wouldn't it be great if Chase got his first win on the road course? And when they started talking about that, I sent my dad a text. I said, this thing is either rigged or it's going to be a synchronicity, because Chase Elliott is going to win this race. He's going to get his first win on a road course, because they're talking about that now. And we've had way too many Cinderella stories that's happened in NASCAR. Okay, rigged or not, it's still a synchronicity, because it's his 3rd season in Cup, and they make sure to mention that. They said this win would be magical. Those words were said as well. He drives the number 9. Okay. And this is his 3rd season. So 3 nines. Upside down. But get this. You want to take a guess what number? There's only 2 awards given during a race. The pole, whoever sits on the pole, and the winner. You want to take a guess what number sat on the pole? 11. So in the beginning was 11, at the end was 9. Backwards like Crowley, 9-11. And it just so happens that his dad, Bill Chase, or Chase Bill, chasing Bills, or Bills Chase, that's the rat race of life, chasing Bills. Alright, but get this. I mean, like I said, 9-11. And his dad drove a 9 and an 11. So, just another synchronicity. You know, don't know if anybody else caught that or not. I'm going to lead into this part because with my grandfather. Because the part I want to talk about next has to do, it needs a, like, you know, a preamble sort of thing. So I've talked about my papa before, and he was a POW, a prisoner of war, and he escaped. The Russians, they built the camp. He was in Stalag 3A, which is up near the Baltic Sea. I have all his records. For those of you that don't know, that have relatives that fought in World War II, you can contact the Army, and I think there's a $50 administration fee. And you can fill out a form if you're related, and you can get his, you know, your relative's Army records. That includes everything. They even sent me his medals. The only medals I didn't get were the ones that he earned overseas from the different countries that he helped liberate. He was captured at the Battle of the Bulge, and they sacrificed that unit. He was in the 28th Infantry Unit from Pennsylvania. He survived 2 miracles. Okay, he had 2 miracles. My papa was blessed. He was in the 66th. They sent him. They moved him to the 28th, and everybody in the 66th that went across on that particular boat that day got a German sub sunk that ship, and everybody died. So he survived that. Plus he survived the POW camp, where he wouldn't even talk about the things he did. I know a few of the things they did to him, but he wouldn't talk about it. So anyway, they built it in the fork of a road, and Russians were coming down both sides shelling, and shrapnel hit mule or horse or something, a mule or horse, whichever one, I can't remember. It ran through all the fencing, and my papa managed to escape, managed to grab a gun off of it was a CZ-24, a Czech gun, managed to grab it off of a dead officer, and they managed to make it back to friendly lines. And I asked him, why didn't you go to the Russians? And he said, because they would have used them for fodder. They would have used them as bullet stoppers. They would have made them fight for them, but they would have sent them in first. So they took their chances. Okay. Papa, I think Papa was like me. I think he saw things like we do. I think he saw things the way we do. He and I talked about things, but we never really got real deep into it like we do now. But we would talk about things that kind of was weird and was like, that's odd that it's that way, kind of bouncing things off each other. And but the thing is, see, he went through all that and then lived his life through, the war's over in 45. He marries. They have my dad. Goes on to raise a family of 7. But he was his family was everything. He did everything for his family. He believed in everything I believe in. He hated hypocrisy. He was an ethical man. He hated immorality. He believed in fairness. He treated, back when civil rights was going on, he treated blacks fairly. But the thing is, he saw things. He understood. When it got to the point to where I don't know if people realize how open we can talk about this stuff now. We can openly talk about this stuff now. Now we can. And even still, we still sound like lunatics to some people, to most people. But the point I'd like to try to get to, and which I'm taking my time getting to, aren't I? Is this: what if all of these people that were put in these asylums during the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, what if they were truthers? What if they saw the system? Except you couldn't talk about it at that time, and they said too much. So they get thrown in there, and we know what they do to them. There are reports that show especially what was done to them. They weren't human beings any longer. There's a movie called The Jacket. You should watch it. But Chris Christopherson's in it, and he tells another doctor, you can't fix what's already broken, or you can't break what's already broken. You can't break what's already broken. So that's the way they looked at these people. But there wasn't anything wrong with them. What if that's the case? What if these people saw things? But see, the VA ordered my grandfather, ordered him to go to a psychiatrist. And the whole time he saw the psychiatrist, he never said one word. The psychiatrist kept telling my grandmother that my grandfather would come in, he would sit down, the guy would start the clock or whatever he did, and he said my grandfather just sat there He never said a word. So I think he knew he better not say a word. Especially to an agent of the system. And it just, it. One thing he did do, one thing my grandfather did do was he could paint. And he expressed these things through paintings. I remember when he was, sorry, my hands are hurting from the fibromyalgia. He had painted. He painted several paintings against about Bush, and he always painted Bush. He represented him as a tree, a bush, with legs. It was legs from the knees up. Was a bush, a tree. Had him sitting at the head of the table in the conference room. He had painted a scale. It was a scale that came up. The old scale came down with chains came down, and on each scale, and I know this is somewhat not. It was graphic, but it was babies stacked up, and on the other side, he had the ovens from the Holocaust painted, and he had them balanced. So that was his way of talking about abortion. Was equal to he always said the American Holocaust. So, and try not to. I try to stay. I don't want this channel to be political, so please don't start leaving me a bunch of abortion stuff. I'm against abortion. There, I said it, and you're not going to convince me. Please don't leave me abortion comments. You'll be deleted. I don't care. You have your opinion, I have mine. You're not going to change my mind. So, let's just get that out. I try my best to stay out of politics on this channel, but it's going to slip in every now and then. So when we do get into that, I am not going to debate this shit. So please don't leave it. If you want to keep watching, these videos, then please don't leave an abortion comment, because you're going to get knocked out. You're going to get deleted. Let's see. Any other notes I wrote down? Other things. I'm doing some research on some things, but it's just oh yeah, I wanted to do one thing. Has everybody played a video game? I mean, everybody's played video games, but has everybody played a video game where you're the person and you have to get from point A to point B, because as you move, your life force starts to drop down? Okay, this is an analogy for the system, the way we live, where we live in a game that way. All right, we go from week to week to week to week, paycheck and this and that. We live this way, we live that way, we walk, we move. Whatever we do, our life force gets sucked out of us. All right. Well, if that's the system, what if George Soros, Bill Gates, all of these the Rothschilds, these billionaires, what if they're hackers? They have learned how to, what would be the smart way to do it would be to put in a program that slowly sucks off everybody's little energy, just 1% at a time, and then ramp it up, and then ramp it up over a period of time. And the next thing you know, everybody's acclimated to that. They're acclimated to their life force not being but so fast. You gotta hurry up and get this done. And what you don't realize is they're taking 30-40% of your life force and your money and everything that you've had, and they're storing it up. So therefore, these people live forever. They live forever. So no wonder that they can just keep on living through this realm, as far as this realm goes, like vampires. It's a vampiric type sucking of everybody's life force. And they just, like with Barbara Bush, she died and 2 days later a baby's born. Give me a break. And already her being questioned as being Aleister Crowley's daughter, I believe that, because I've seen the pictures side by side. You're not going to tell me that George Bush's wife was not Aleister Crowley's daughter. I believe it. They'll never tell you that. They'll never run DNA tests. But it's either that the system makes twins of everybody because it runs out of creativity and it can only make so many faces, and his just happened to land on her, or she's his daughter. And she might be the baby, or he might be the baby, who knows? But it's announced 2 days later. That baby was born the minute she died. That's just the way I see it anyway. But alright guys, I've been talking a while. Anyway, sorry about the getting off track and all that, and you can, as usual, next time just speed me up, and because I talk slow and I have to reach for what my words are due to some of the medication I take. It messes with my memory, or my thought, my grabbing my words. So alright guys, have a good one. Please be good to everyone else and take care.